Good morning, good morning. What you see in front of you is the result of somebody coming and saying to me, Jim, I'm needing my bench refurbed. Money's no object, he said. So this is what we've been doing. And there's another one partially. The reason it popped up this morning is this one's going to have to go away. It's just about finished. A little rub down and touch up here and there, clean off, yeah. Licky varnish, that'll do. This time of the year, difficult varnish getting to go off, something else altogether. But really, really nice, turned out nice. A lot of work. It seemingly belonged to the woman's grandfather. He's been lying in the garden for long and weary and was all knackered. So we were fortunate in the timber for it. Believe it or not, it's mahogany. And it started away as, I've recycled it, it started away as decking. And according to the builder chap that hauled it out to replace it with composite, 30 odd years ago. Bloody good stuff. I don't know what that cost, but it would be a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. But it's a bit of bother cutting it up and machining it to what we got. But worthwhile doing, certainly. Yes, I mean you can't buy that quality timber nowadays. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I've got enough out of it to do this other one with one to spare. Needless to say, there was a Sunday spent over the bench saw cutting it all out. First of all, we had to take out the fixings that were in it. There weren't many fixings in it. The odd screw here and there. And so we had to take them out, and I would like to say I got them all, but I'm afraid I missed one. And it was a new blade I'd put on, and we caught the edge of it. So, but it's good enough at this moment. You think you get them all. That's it. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. It'll last, if I look after it, it'll last them for the rest of their days. And but I had to try and remember how, I used to do a lot of these at one time, and I had to try and remember, the thing about putting these things together is don't be too neat. Keep things slack. Plenty of movement on it. So oversize the holes that the bolts are going to go through and undersize the bolts slightly. So as that thing would use coach bolts, so as you get a little cup in below that square part that will hold in the hole just enough to tighten it. Mustn't over tighten these things. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They put washers on them, they put this on them, and then they over tighten it. Well, you can't do that. Especially when you're pulling against good solid timber. Softwood, you get away with a little bit on it, but hardwood, no. You will crack and break these things because these old ones, the castings are not so good as, I'd like to say as good as the modern ones. The modern castings are a lot better. There's no doubt about it. Like, you know, you don't get so many problems with modern castings as you do. I always remember years ago was when I used to do a lot of them, I used to have a sandblasting chap who I used to take them to the irons to, rather than me bugger about with them. And he would sandblast them for me and powder coat them. And I always remember there was times I went in to pick the irons up and I could see them sitting there, but they hadn't been powder coated, which told me that there was lead in them. And the old castings, the old Victorian castings and things like that, because they were for seats and things, they weren't structurally going to be thinged. So if the cast, if there was bits missing with the cast, they would basically fill them with lead. And finish them off. And so he would approach me with that. They would, Jim, there's lead in the ones. And I went, oh, right. Occasionally I would run, if I thought there was, I would take a magnet with me and run the magnet over. Because as soon as you hit lead with a magnet, that's it, it'll fall off. But there's the thing. But keep things slack, don't try and be too neat. And as I say, you're going into that slot anyway, it goes up there, and so you need to load the bench. And I also made two nice scrolled stays for him below there, and brought them up onto the centre strap. Originally it would have a strap that went all the way to the middle and back down to the other side, but this is a better deal altogether, especially when you're on such good timber. You can just shorten the stays, and it stops the shugle. Shugle? That's an old word, shugle. It stops that. And the table shugle, but it doesn't. So you can get away with that. Keeps it lock solid. But that's the secret to it. You must load it up, especially the bottom part in particular. Once you get the centre strap on, start with the centre strap. Don't fix the stay on now until you get the bench all loaded. Once you get the bench all loaded and the bolts all through it, you basically square it up and then fix the stays, fix them in place, and then, as I say, gently go through it, tighten them all up. Sometimes you need to run the drill through from the front just to get that little, they won't line up exactly right. The castings are so, the holes are not, they're all here, so keep it slack. Anyway, that's it. Also had to fill the screw holes. A little tip for that one is, when you're filling the screw holes, don't use filler. Not on these things, because it eventually comes out. There's a little trick to it all, and it concerns pencil sharpeners. This type of pencil sharpener in particular, you can buy them cheap enough, and it's for the oval pencils, the proper joiner's pencils. These are the ones you buy. Buy yourself 2 or 3 of them, and what you do is you'll pick out, have a look roughly at the hole size that you're looking to think with. Eventually you're looking to bore out the hole and insert a small dowel into it. But to make the dowels first over, pick out the size you're needing, take a bit of stock off this timber, try and get as long grain as possible in it. You don't really want any short grain popping into it here and there. Keep it as long as possible in it, and take the corners all off it, bring it down to the size that's just overly sized on that. But what you do is you take out the blade, pick the size of hole you want, and then bore the hole right through the plastic and right through the end. Look at the blade, reset it slightly, look at where the hole starts and where you want to be, and then you take it off and then buff the blade away, so as that you're not going down to the point. So and then rebuff the blade, put it back in, taking a bit off at a time to get to where you want to be. And then I've got this shown up, and I'll just throw it into it to let you see how it works. Normally put it in the vise, turn it upside down so as that the shavings all fall out, it doesn't choke itself. And then you pop it in, having put a little turn on the end just with an ordinary pencil sharpener, and then put it in the end, make sure you've got it on the fast speed, and away you go. And there you are. And that's the size that you want to bore out your screw holes to. Bigger or smaller, depending on what you want. I found that size did for me. By the time I'd machined off the timber, I was back into the main bit of stock. I'd lost the grip work, and so therefore I was down to roughly that size. And it's a nice, cheap, easy way. And when you're cutting them to length, just put them in the ordinary pencil sharpener, give it a little burl, and takes off a bit of the end, give you a start, and then cut them to the length you want. That's it. Better if they go all the way through, but if it's not, the bottom's not going to be, you can go for quarters of the way through, as long as the top is fine. It's all right. On the bits that are seen back and front, you need to go all the way through. So there you are. So that's a little tip for you. And as I say, it works. You've got to take a little bit of time and get it in sequence. Whatever you do, don't bore the holes and try and first, you make the dowel first, make sure it's where you want it to be, then pick the drill size out that's where you want to be with that. You want it just a little bit tight on it. But you can juke around, it works fine. And it gives you the same timber. You're finishing it with the same timber as, and you're not bucking about with filler and all the bloody rest of it, which can be a real pain at times and the thing would. But anyway, that's what we're doing. So I thought I'd make a quick video, and I'm still trying to figure out how to upload this to YouTube yet. Oh dear, man. I'm something else altogether. But we're trying. New iPad, new problems that go with it, and all the rest of it, and learning how to work it. I'm not clever enough. I don't think I was ever clever enough, but I don't spend enough time. That's the thing. I need to spend more time on it. But we're trying to. But we're getting there. But my subscriber thing is slowly climbing. In fact, I'm meeting subscribers now when I'm out walking, that kind of thing. A lot of people locally have, since my little episode with Brooke, a little video with Brooke, I've came to the attention of a lot of people, so, or not a lot of people, but certainly some people anyway, and so I've become a little bit kind of famous on it. But the timber cost me, it cost me the sharpening of a chainsaw. It's one of these newish saws. The DIY thing, they're really difficult actually, because they're put together nowadays so you can't possibly, hopefully not get hurt with them at all, like, you know. So they're not really geared for proper, you know, there's no training involved when you go into these shops and buy a chainsaw. You pick it up off the shelf and out you go. A lot of these electric jobs and whatnot, and of course they're that safety conscious that they're hardly cutting at all. So it cost me that, and plus tools to sell. So all tools for them. So we'll try that anyway. These things that's a thing for another video altogether, like, you know. But anyway, I hope that was of interest, and I know I've been too busy in some ways, like, you know, as I've said before, maybe the fact I've not been as busy as I think I am, it just takes me longer to do things, which, well, there is that. But that's a nice little tip for you for the filling of holes, nail holes and screw holes and things like that. I maybe didn't describe it properly, but you can get the gist of it all, and if you juke around yourself, you'll get the answer. Anyway, I'm going to go, cup of coffee time, I think. I'm missing a light. I need to actually get the whole thing rewired. But I've got a grandson who's an electrician. We'll see how that goes, like, you know, right? Well, dearly an electrician, but I don't think he particularly likes it, this is the thing. So, but we need to invest a little bit, and yeah, some new lighting, I think, get sorted. Let there be light, says he. Anyway, all the best. We'll catch you again. Cheers.